Hey there guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Craig Patterson for DS Sports as always, and here we're looking at our latest Scottish Premiership and Football League roundup review, and going through what has been a pretty mad weekend of football. Some really hectic games over the Saturday-Sunday period, especially in top flight. So we're going to go through them, and also the Football League and indeed the Scottish League Cup, which took place last Wednesday night. We've recording this on a Thursday just so I can get the Football League and the League Cup in there as well. So as always guys, remember to leave a like and comment on the video. Just comment anything at all, anything that I might have missed the weekend. Some interesting action of course, and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you very much as always to the early subscribers. It's been a very inconsistent sort of time getting this video up and going, and getting all these videos sort of going consistently has been quite difficult, so please forgive me for that one. Like I said in my previous video, we've got the European roundup as well, so like I say, I've got not next week but the week after I'm going to be taking off. I'm going to be on holiday, so hopefully going to get plenty of videos going so I can upload just before then as well, before that week absence. So thanks very much of course for the early subscribers, and yeah, we'll move straight onto the Premiership, and we're going to probably start chronologically backwards. Major action taking place on the Sunday, and the biggest of all was the Edinburgh Derby, the first Edinburgh Derby of the season. Always the one that produces fiery moments, brilliant goals, and it always chops and changes who wins these derbies. So we'll go straight into that one. It took place at Easter Road. It was Hibs against Hearts, two teams that are in different form, very poor form, and in the end it was a brilliant comeback win for Hearts, and one that Craig Levein really needed. So a fantastic win for them. Not a lot happened in the first half according to any it was a couple of chances in there, nothing to really set the world on fire though. And just after the break, it was an absolute corker from Stephen Malland, notorious for scoring long range goals. People have talked about potentially bringing him into the national team. Hasn't quite worked out for him. Still in the under-21, still doing well down there though. And yeah, Hibs scored the opening goal just after the break there through Stevie Malland's brilliant goal, and it was a scruffy one for Hearts' equaliser 20 minutes from time. Yeah, and it turned out it fell to the feet of Uche Ikpeazu. Had a really tough start to the season, has the big man, but a couple of goals have got him going, especially this one in the derby. And it was a bit of a scruffy one, bit of a deflection in there as well, but it did work its way over the line. And in the end, it was a young academy graduate, Aaron Hickey, who via deflection scored a brilliant goal, sending the Hearts fans behind the goal into sheer delight in the away end. So like I say, very important win for Hearts, one that will really get the fans going. Derby win always goes down a treat in Edinburgh, so not one that will be forgotten in the next wee while, but they're going to really need to start picking up results to get themselves out of this rut. So we'll see how that goes. Moving into the more old firm teams over the weekend, over the Sunday period. 1 o'clock game, it was Celtic against Kilmarnock. Kilmarnock took the lead in this one after 33 minutes. A brilliant finish by him and Brophy, shallow around a few players, managed to get his finish away though. It was a brilliant goal for them, but the lead didn't last very long for Kilmarnock. Away at Celtic, might have forgotten to mention that, Celtic against Kilmarnock at Parkhead. Even Brophy giving them the lead after 33 minutes, but just before half time, really poor time to lose a goal. St Edouard, French Eddie getting the goal, his first goal of this game, just before half time, sending the sides in all square at the break. Just after the break though, two quick fire goals within the first 12 minutes from St Edouard, his second of the game, and of course Ryan Christie, who's been in imperious form to start the season, making it 3-1 there. Alan Power late on missed a penalty which could have really helped out proceedings, potentially giving Kilmarnock a chance, but it wasn't to be, and in the end it was Celtic who ran away with the 3 points on that one. So yeah, another win. 6 wins out of 6 for Celtic now, and still going well, it seems. Going to the other half of the Old Firm, Rangers were playing at St Johnstone. St Johnstone, who have started the season off with no wins at all, fell behind. It was 0-0 at the break, but just after the break, Alfredo Morelos got the goal to get them going. Connor Golson going just after the half, just after the hour mark, and then some slight controversy. It kind of, on initial looking, did look like the ball had crossed the line to give St Johnstone a way back into the game to make it 2-1 just before the end. A lot of people saying that it was probably going to be a mere consolation. From one angle it did look like the ball had crossed the line, but from another I think it was only half maybe had crossed the line. So it might have turned out to be the right decision, but in the end it was very much sealed late on. Jermaine Defoe with goals in the 88th and 90th minute, meaning that Rangers ran away with an easy 4-0 win in the end, and continuing to keep up with Celtic at the top, only that defeat in the Old Firm holding them back as it stands. Going into Saturday games, obviously they've gone backwards a wee bit. The 3 o'clock games included Aberdeen with a 2-0 win away at Livingston. Andrew Considine gave the Dons an early the lead after the half hour, big goal in the first half at the Tony Macaroni, and then the late stealer from Sam Cosgrove, who continues to score goals, and it was a late penalty in that one as well. Nicky Devlin causing the foul in the box, which meant that Sam Cosgrove could slot home the penalty and give Aberdeen a nice 2-0 win to move them up to 3rd in the league. They benefited from Motherwell's home defeat against Ross County, 10-man. Motherwell, should I say. Alan Campbell gave Motherwell the lead after the hour. The young Scottish midfielder, and Brian Graham, with 15 minutes to play, got the equaliser for Ross County before Ross Stewart scored the winner. Another goal for Ross Stewart. It's continuing to score goals. Brilliant result for Ross County down at the Well, and it was Jake Carroll who got sent off in between those goals. So for two very, very quick yellow cards, 78th and 80th minute, those yellow cards come in, and Ross County, like I say, going back up north to Dingwall with a very important 3 points to keep them keep their good form going. And then the 0-0 draw in Paisley, St Mirren and Hamilton. George Oakley was sent off in this game. Surprising to see that he got sent off in this one. 2 yellows after 20 minutes and 50 minutes meant that Hamilton played the last 40 minutes with 10 men, but St Mirren unfortunately could not capitalise on it. I think I could be wrong, but there was maybe a shout for Kyle McAllister to potentially have got sent off in this game. There was apparently a stamp on the head in this one, but nothing doing in the referee's eyes, and clearly no further action was taken, although I think the SFA have since had a look at it. But in the end, guys, that's the end. That's match day 6 for you. Celtic, like we say, 6 wins out of 6 are 18 points and 3 points clear of Rangers, who have only got that defeat in the Old Firm. Aberdeen on 11, 7 points behind Celtic, and Motherwell and Ross County a point further behind, especially after that win for Ross County at Motherwell. So, and then you've got Livingston completing the top 6 with Kilmarnock, Hearts with a really important win, getting them off the bottom of the table. Hamilton on 5, St Mirren and Hibs on 4, and St Johnstone still rock bottom with still no wins to their name, although they'll have a much better run of fixtures now. Going forward, I think the likes of Motherwell, St Mirren, Hamilton, all to come as well, so much better run of games for them. But they can hopefully get their season up and running. So that's the top flight. We'll go into the Championship now, and some big wins across the board and a really big comeback as well. We'll start at the comeback. It was at Tannadice. Arbroath were very, very, very close to making it 2 wins out of 2 at Tannadice. When they went 1-0 up after 52 minutes, it was Luke Donnelly who gave them the lead, and then 2 huge late goals for Dundee United from Lawrence Shankland. It was 88 and the 92nd minute for them, giving Dundee United a much needed win to continue their run. I say continue their run, they obviously lost at Ayr United, I think it was last week, so nonetheless a big win for them. Brilliant, it was a big comeback, and it was really hard lines for Dick Campbell's Arbroath as well in that game, who are now, you can clearly see, very much at home in the second tier of Scottish football. The other part-time side, Alloa Athletic, they came off the back of a 4-1 defeat. They lost at home 4-1 to Ayr United. Alan Forrest gave them the lead with an early penalty, and then Roscoe Byrne scored 3 minutes later. Luke McCowan 7 minutes later, so they were 3-0 up after 20 minutes, and then Alan Forrest got his second just after the half hour. So 4-0 it went in at the break, but Kevin O'Hara made sure Alloa won the second half, and it was only 4-1 the result. Since then, we've obviously heard the news that Ian McCall has left Ayr United and has agreed to take on the post as a Partick Thistle manager after Gary Caldwell was sacked not so long ago. So a managerial turnaround at Ayr United. Ayr United are looking for a new manager. I don't think there's anyone really been appointed yet. No one really coming to light as who will as obvious replacements, and the ones that have been linked at the moment. So we'll keep an eye out for that one. We'll sure to probably hear some news over the next few days. Nonetheless, so Inverness with yet another win. They are still in touch with the top 2 from Dundee and Ayr. Dundee United and Ayr, after Sean Welsh and Tom Walsh gave them 2 goals inside the first 20 minutes, meaning that Inverness took a 2-0 win at Queen of the South. So a long journey back home for Queen of the South after a disappointing defeat there. Morton beat Dundee 1-0. The former Falkirk defender Peter Grant, Scottish Cup final goal scorer, with the winner in that one in first half stoppage time at Capulo. So a very important win for Motherwell. Sorry, not Motherwell, Morton. Meaning that Dundee have really kind of slumped a little bit. Morton have now moved above Dundee in the table. And the other win, Partick Thistle, with yet another defeat. So that's six games, 0 wins for them. Dunfermline coming out 3-0 victors. It was Kevin Nisbet, Ryan Dow and Kyle Turner with goals in that one, meaning that was a very easy 3-0 win at Firhill for Partick Thistle. But with the new manager being appointed, we might well see an upturn in form, but still not looking good for Partick Thistle, and we'll see where they go from here with their new manager on board. So going to the table, guys, Dundee United still locked at the top with only 1 defeat to the name. 1 defeat to the name so far. 15 points for them. Inverness have come off a really good run of form. I think that might be 4 wins in a row, or maybe 4 wins in 5 after their opening day defeat to Dundee United. They sit on 13 points after 6 games. Then there's a little bit of gap to Morton on 9, Arbroath and Dundee on 8, Dunfermline and Queen of the South on 5, Alloa on 4, and Partick Thistle still winless on 2 points. So that is the Championship. Big wins for Dundee United, Ayr United and Kelly Thistle, the top 3 in that one as they pull away from the pack. We now go into League 1, and it's a big win for Raith Rovers. Grant Anderson getting the only goal in that one away at Adrionians, so that's a 1-0 win for them as they maintain top spot, only on goal difference ahead of East Fife, and they don't maintain the leapfrog East Fife at the top of the table after East Fife drew 2-2 against Dumbarton. Dumbarton were 2-0 up in this one. Ryan McGeever and an Isaac Lane penalty, giving the Suns a 2-0 lead just after the break, before Stuart Murdoch and Scott Agnews with a penalty of his own meant that East Fife got a vital point, but they do lose top spot as a result, and that wee mini run has come to an end of wins for East Fife, but nonetheless still been a really good start for them, and they're still level on points with Raith Rovers. They're only just behind on goal difference, like I say. Forfar have got their first win in a wee while. Mark Docherty with his first goal for the club and first half stoppage time, and then Jamie Bain with a good finish past the Montrose goalkeepers. Montrose still not got off the mark there. Maybe a few question marks over Stuart Petrie's position, although Stuart Petrie's done a fantastic job. And would it be harsh to let him go? It's hard to say. After a great campaign which saw them get into the playoffs, leapfrog East Fife into the playoffs, they've now only got 1 point from their first 7, so it's hard to tell where Montrose really go from here. They're quite a fair way adrift of automatic safety in this one, as we'll point out later. But Forfar, a really important win for them. They're now back up into 4th. They've leapfrogged 5 teams. Yeah, they've leapfrogged 5 teams. They've gone from 8th to 4th. Sorry, leapfrogged 4 teams. Obviously, maths is terrible. Not unlike me. But yeah, big win for Forfar against their local rivals. A much needed win for them. The battle of the 2 promoted sides, Peterhead and Clyde. It was 1-1 it finished there. 2 goals coming very early in this one. Derek Lyle giving the hosts the lead at Balmuir after 5 minutes before David Goodwillie scored and then got sent off. He scored in the 17th minute and was sent off within the first half hour, 10 minutes later after the goal. So Clyde playing the game pretty much in the defensive back foot in this one, and would go an hour with 10 men. But Peterhead could not capitalise and potentially leapfrog into a playoff position on the end of that. So it was honours even at Peterhead, and then finally Falkirk with an easy 3-0 win against fellow struggler Stranraer. David McMillan with his first goal. I think he's on loan from St Johnstone, although I might be wrong. It might well be a permanent transfer. I might need to double check that one. But his first goal for the club on his first start. Charlie Telfer with another goal for himself, and Maguro Gomes as well. With Telfer and Gomez's goals both coming in the second half there. So it was 3-0 to Falkirk, another good win for them, and they're in touch with the top 2 in that one. So we go into the table. Raith Rovers and East Fife joint top on 15 points. They're separated by just a goal. Falkirk with a much better goal difference are a point further behind. Forfar, Airdrieonians and Dumbarton are on 10 points apiece. Forfar into the playoff spot for the first time in a wee while. Clyde and Peterhead though not too far behind. They're only a point behind in 7th and 8th. Stranraer are on 4, so they're 5 points adrift of automatic safety at this point. And Montrose are a further 3 points behind. So Montrose 8 points from safety already. So it's not looking good for Montrose, and like I say, there's going to be a little bit of a debate in that one as to where they go from there. So that's League 1. We'll finally go into League 2 before looking at the League Cup. We'll start at Albion Rovers, start alphabetically in order. So it's Albion 1, Edinburgh City 3, so another big win for Edinburgh City. They're now keeping their run going and are still adrift at the top. It was Alex Harris and Danny Handlin who gave Edinburgh City a 2-0 lead inside 7 minutes, so a really quick fire start for them. Declan Byrne got a goal back for Albion Rovers 9 minutes after the break before Alan Smith getting the goal, getting the sealer 9 minutes from time. So a big win for Edinburgh City, another win for them over Albion Rovers at Clifton Hill. It was a 0-0 draw, and an Athletic and Stirling Albion, so a point for Stirling Albion. Dylan Mackin missed a penalty after 23 minutes, so that could have been a really important goal for them. It turned out it wasn't to be in this case, and yeah, honours even in Galabank in Dumfriesshire. It was Cove Rangers again. They keep the bandwagon rolling on. Another win for them. They went up to Borough Briggs, a short journey in retrospect to where they have been so far this season. Mitch Megginson would get another goal after 3 minutes, and Christian Antoniazzi with a goal 4 minutes from time to close out affairs in that one. So Cove Rangers with yet another win. They're still undefeated in their Football League debut season. at Hampden Park. It finished 3-0 to Cowdenbeath, so Cowdenbeath still in third place and have pulled away in third place from Queen's Park. Brilliant win for them. It was Fraser Mullen, Craig Barr and Jordan Allen with second half goals. Fraser Mullen should I say, scored from the penalty spot in a very easy 3-0 win for Cowdenbeath at the National Stadium. In the battle of the relegated teams, it was Steny who came out on top. David Hopkirk with a second half goal as Steny beat Brechin 1-0, and it was Ollie Hamilton who got us sent off in second half stoppage time right at the end there. So another pretty tough defeat for Brechin, and yep, still rooted at the bottom of the league in that one. Going to the table, like I say, Cove Rangers still rumbling on at the top of the table with 19 points, 3 points clear of Edinburgh City, who are a point clear of Cowdenbeath, so 4 points between the top 3 in that one. They are that group are 6 points clear of Queen's Park and Athletic in 4th and 5th. Albion and Stenhousemuir on 8 in 6th and 7th. Elgin City on 6, Stirling Albion on 4, and Brechin City on 3, rooted to the bottom. And we'll now go into the fixtures. Just give me 2 seconds for the next round of games coming up this weekend. So we'll start in the top flight. Once it loads, they're all on Saturday games. Saturday lunchtime, it's Hibs against Celtic, so 2 green sides of the 2 biggest cities in Scotland. It'll be Hamilton against Livingston, Kilmarnock against Ross County, Rangers against Aberdeen. That should be a feisty affair in that one. St Johnstone against Motherwell, so interesting game there. St Johnstone really needing to get a win. Perhaps Motherwell might be the way to go about it. And St Mirren against Hearts, so 2 teams on the lower end of the table there as well. Desperately needing wins to get their seasons really going. Hearts looking for back-to-back wins for the first time this season. We'll go into the Championship, hopefully very quickly. Friday night football, Queen of the South against Dundee. That'll be live on BBC Scotland, of course. And it's going to be Arbroath against Ayr United, so that's going to be a very important game in the top half of the table there. Dundee United against Morton at Tannadice. Dunfermline against Alloa, the 2 Athletics facing off there, and Kelly Thistle against Partick Thistle, so the 2 Thistles facing off there. Ian McCall with his first game in charge against Kelly Thistle, who are in very, very good form. Going into League 1, I think one of the biggest games of the weekend, it'll be Forfar against Raith Rovers. I know this from obvious experiences. Forfar against Raith Rovers is at 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Airdrieonians against Stranraer really needing a win there. Dumbarton against Clyde, the midfield battle in there. 2 fellow teams in the top 4, Falkirk and East Fife. East Fife get sun out of that game, they're really putting themselves in the shit of the title race, and Montrose desperately needing a win against Peterhead, and if they get that, that'll be a massive 3 points for them, just to bring Peterhead closer to that battle at the bottom as well. So that's League 2. That's League 1, League 2 finally. Before we move very quickly into the League Cup and the fixture and the results from the quarter-finals, it's Brechin City against Elgin City, so 2 of the bottom 3 facing off in that one. It's Cove against Annan, so a long trip for Annan Athletic to the league leaders. Cowdenbeath against Albion, Cowdenbeath in exceptional form, they're going to be hoping for a good win against Albion. Edinburgh City also in good form, look at home to Queen's Park. Queen's Park, after a really poor performance against Cowdenbeath, will be looking for a win, and Stirling against Stenhousemuir, 2 teams sort of the bottom half of the table, needing a win as well at Forth Bank. So those are the games that are going to be happening this weekend. Last night we saw the Betfred Cup quarter-finals. It finished Celtic 5, Partick Thistle 0, so Partick Thistle perhaps an inevitable exit from the League Cup. Joaquin Bayo gave the defending champions the lead in that one after 15 minutes. Tom Rogic, Olivier Cham double, and Scott Sinclair with second half goals to make it 5-0 for the Hoops. Olivier Cham, I don't know which goal it was, but he scored an absolute missile into the top corner. It was a brilliant goal. Kilmarnock and Hibs, it went to penalties. Ryan Porteous got sent off in the 120th minute in this one, but it was Hibs who rolled on into the semi-finals in the shootout. An earlier miss by Ollie Shaw was then cancelled out by Stephen O'Donnell's miss before Hamalainen missed in sudden death, and then which turned out to be the vital penalty, which meant that Hibs would roll on to the semi-finals. The City rivals would also join them. It finished 2-2 at Tynecastle, Hearts against Aberdeen. Sam Cosgrove gave Aberdeen the lead after 12 minutes. 2 minutes left, Stephen McLean with a rare start for him. He got the equaliser before Sam Cosgrove scored again. Both of those goals coming from penalties for Sam Cosgrove. And Craig Halkett got a vital late stoppage time winner to mean that extra time would be played. But after extra time there was no goals to be added. It was a 3-0 comprehensive shootout win for the Jambos, as Glenn Whelan, Michael Smith and Aidan Keena both scored their penalties, where Sam Cosgrove, after scoring 2 in normal time, failed to convert in the shootout. Niall McGinn and Bruce Anderson also missing, which meant that Hearts would roll on to another Betfred Cup semi. Yeah, the quarter final in this one, Glenn Kamara scored after 5 minutes to give Rangers a 1-0 win at Livingston. So the both sides from Edinburgh and Glasgow would make their way into the semi-final, and the draw, yeah, I've got the draw here. It was Rangers against Hearts and Hibs against Celtic, so both derbies getting separated in that one, which is somewhat interesting. We might see derbies in the final, we might not, and then we'll see how that semi-final lineup works out over the weekend of the 2nd of November, whether we'll see them 2 in one day, 2 in the separate stadiums. There was a lot of controversy about them potentially being on the same day in the same stadium last year, so we'll see how that works out over the next coming weeks in terms of scheduling reasons. But anyway guys, very quickly went through the end of that, pretty much through the whole entire leagues. Don't want to drag it on too long. But anyway guys, another good weekend of Scottish football. Scottish League Cup happened last night as well, so semi-finals to come and some more interesting football being played. We'll look forward to the weekend. We'll round it up next week just before I go on holiday as well. So thanks very much guys, as always. That's been your SPFL roundup for match days 6 in the top flight and 7 in the rest of the football league. So thanks very much for watching guys. We'll be back very soon for another roundup of this weekend's action. But until then guys, thanks very much for liking, commenting, subscribing, whatever you do to support the channel. Thank you very much for doing so. And until later guys, we'll see you guys very soon. So take care and we'll see you soon.